Hare Krishna. Welcome to all devotees. Now we start today's Bhagwatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutam Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tata Jayam Udiret. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी. Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. Now we continuing Srimad Bhagwatam 11 Canto, chapter 17, description of the Varnashram system. Shloka number yesterday we not taking 33 shloka, so we taking from that shloka. 33 to 41. Srinam Nirikshana Parsha Sanlapa Kshelana Adikam Pranina Mithuni Bhutan Agrasta Agrata Tejet Shaucham Achamanam Snanam Sandhya Upasti Mama Archanam Tirtha Seva Japa Asprishya Bhaksha Asam Abhaksha Sambhashya Varjanam Sarva Ashrama Prayukta Ayam Niyama Kulanandana Madbhava Sarabhuteshu Mana Vaka Sayamaha Evam Vratadhara Brahmana Agni Iva Jvalana Madbhakta Tivra Tapasa Dabda Karma Ashe Amala Ata Anantaram Avekshan Yatha Jitnasita Agama Gurave Dakshinam Datta Snayat Gurave Guru Anukramita Gruham Vanam Va Upa Visheta Pravrajeta Va Vijottama Ashramat Ashramam Gatsena Anyatha Amata Parachareta Gruha Arthi Sadrushim Bharyam Udvaheta Ajugupsita Yavi Yasim Tu Vaisa Yam Savarna Anukramat Ija Adhyana Dhanani Sarvesham Cha Dvijalmanam Pratigraha Adhyapanam Cha Brahmanasya Eva Yajanam Pratigraham Manyamana Tapa Teja Yasha Anudhamma Anya Abhyam Eva Jiveta Shileva Doshadrukatayo. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Uddhava, general cleanliness, washing the hands, bathing, performing religious services at sunrise, noon and sunset, worshipping me, visiting holy places, chanting japa, avoiding that which is untouchable, uneatable are not to be discussed, and remembering me existent within all living entities as the super soul. These principles should be followed by all members of society through regulation of the mind, words, and body. A Brahmana observing the great O of celibacy become brilliant like fire, and by serious austerity burns to ashes the propensity to perform material activities. Free from the contamination of material desire, he becomes my devotee. A brahmachari who has completed his Vedic education and desires to enter household life should offer proper remuneration to the spiritual master, bath, cut his hair, put on proper cloth, and so on. Then, taking permission from the guru, he should go back home and back to his home. A brahmachari desiring to fulfill his material desire should live at home with his family, and a householder who is eager to purify his consciousness should enter the forest, whereas a purified Brahmana should accept the renounced order of life. One who is not surrendered to me should move progressively from one ashrama to another, never active. Otherwise, one who desires to establish family life should marry a wife of his own caste, who is beyond reproach and younger in age. If one desires to accept many wives, he must marry them after the first marriage, and each wife should be of a successively lower caste. All twice born men, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas must perform sacrifice, study the Vedic literature, and give charity. Only the Brahmanas, however, accept charity, teach the Vedic knowledge, and perform sacrifice on behalf of others. A Brahmana who considers that accepting charity from others will destroy his austerity, spiritual influence, and fame should maintain himself by the other two Brahminical occupation, namely teaching Vedic knowledge and performing sacrifice. If the Brahmana considers that those who two occupations also compromise his spiritual position, then he should collect rejected grains in agricultural fields and live without any dependence on others. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The process of liberation is described in this verse. One, when Srila Prabhupada was traveling by airplane, a fellow passenger who happened to be a priest told him that he had seen his disciples and found them bright-faced. Srila Prabhupada was fond of relating this incident. The spirit soul is more brilliant than the sun, and as the process of spiritual purification gradually takes effect, even the external form of a devotee becomes effulgent. The glowing fire of spiritual knowledge burns to ashes the mentality of sense gratification, and one naturally becomes austere and disinterested in mundane enjoyment. Among all austerities, the best is celibacy, by which the shackles of material life immediately become slackened. One who is amal, free from material desire, is known as a pure devotee of the Lord. On the path of Dhyan, Karma, and Yoga, the mind retains the concept of personal interest, but on the path of pure devotion, the mind is trained to see only the interest of the personality of God. Thus, a pure devotee of the Lord is Amal, completely pure. The process of the verse described the process called Sama Avartana, or returning to one's home after finishing Vedic education in the ashrama of the spiritual master. One who cannot concentrate all of his desires in the devotional service of the Lord is attracted to householder life. And if this attraction is not regulated, one will fall down, being covered by the ignorance of pretty activities and mental speculation. A living entity seeks enjoyment outside the devotional service of the Supreme Lord and becomes a non-devotee. One who takes to family life must rigidly follow the Vedic rules and regulations in order to avoid the collapse of his spiritual determination. One who enjoys intimate sense gratification with women must become duplicitous in his dealings with others and consequently fall down from the platform of simple, pure life. When the mind is disturbed by lust, one begins to resent the principle of submission to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His pure devotee, and the dark clouds of one's offensive mentality completely cover the light of the spiritual knowledge. One should dovetail his propensity to love someone by serving the lotus feet of a pure devotee, as stated in Vedic literature. One who worships Govinda, Lord Krishna, but does not worship his devotee is not to be considered an advanced Vaishnava. Rather, he is to be considered a proud hypocrite. Those who are not surrendered devotees of the Lord must rigidly observe the regulations governing one's authorized social status. There are 4 social divisions of life, namely Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. One who wants to fulfill material desires should become an ordinary householder, Grihastha, establish a comfortable residence, and maintain his family. One desire to accelerate the process of purification may give up his home and business and live in a sacred place with his wife, as indicated here by the Lord Vanam or forest. There are many sacred forests in India means for this purpose, such as Vrindavan and Mayapur. The word Dvijottama indicates the Brahmanas. Brahmana, Kshatriyas and Vishyas are all Dvija and are initiated in the Gayatri Mantra. But the Brahmana is Dvijottam, or the highest among those who have received second birth by spiritual initiation. It is recommended that a purified Brahmana take to the renounced order of life, sannyasa, giving up further contact with his so-called wife. The Brahmana is superficially mentioned here, since Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are not to take the renounced order of life. Even so, there are many stories in the Bhagwatam wherein great kings retire with their aristocratic wives to the forest to practice the austerities of Vanaprastha and thus accelerate the process of purification. The Brahmanas, however, may directly accept the renounced order of life. The word ashramam gachet indicate that one may progressively move from brahmachari life to grihastha life, to vanaprastha life, and then to sannyasa. The words ashram emphasize that one should never remain without an authorized social status, nor should one go backward, falling down from a higher position. Those who are not surrendered devotee of the Lord must readily observe such injunctions, for otherwise they will quickly become degraded and their sins will place them outside the bounds of authorized human civilization. The Lord Krishna emphasizes here that a non-devotee must reasonably observe the rituals and regulations of Vedic social division, whereas the Lord's pure devotee engaged 24 hours a day in Lord's mission is transcendental to such division. If, however, one performs illicit activities on the strength of being transcendental to Vedic social division, one is revealed to be a materialistic neophyte and not an advanced devotee of the Lord. An advanced devotee who remains aloof from material sense gratification is not bound by the Vedic social division. Thus, even a householder may live very austerely, traveling and preaching Krishna consciousness away from home, and even a sannyasi may sometimes engage women in the devotional service of the Lord Krishna. The most advanced devotee cannot be restricted by the rituals and regulations of the varnashram system, and they move freely around the world distributing love of Godhead. Mat para indicates a pure devotee of the Lord who always keeps the Lord fixed in his heart and consciousness. One who falls down to become a victim of sense gratification is not fully established on the platform of Mat para and should reasonably observe the social division and regulation to remain steady on the platform of pious human life. As stated in the Vedic literature, तीसरा वर्ण अनुपर्वेण द्वे तिथि तिथि तथा एक यथा क्रमं ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय विषम भार्याः स्वः शूद्र जन्मनः. The purport of this verse is that one's first wife must always be sadrushim or similar to oneself. In other words, an intellectual man should marry an intellectual wife. A heroic man should marry a heroic wife. A business-minded man should marry a woman who can encourage him in such activities. And a Shudra should marry a less intelligent woman. The wife must be beyond reproach in terms of her background and character, should be always be younger than oneself, ideally 5 to 10 years younger. If one desires to marry a second wife, then as stated in this verse by the word Varna Anupurvena, and in the verse spoken by the Lord Krishna by the word Anukurmat, one must wait until the first marriage is established and then select a second wife from the next lower caste. If one marries a third time, the wife must be again from the next lower caste. For example, a Brahmana's first wife will be Brahmani, his second wife will be from the Kshatriya community, and his third wife from the Vaishya community, and fourth wife from the Shudra community. A Kshatriya may first marry a Kshatriya lady and then Vaishya and Shudra ladies. A Vaishya can accept wives from two classes, and Shudra will accept a wife only from the Shudra class. By this progression of marriages, there will be relative peace in the family. These Vedic marriage injunctions, as mentioned in the previous verse, are especially for those who are not pure devotees of the Lord. All civilized men must participate in sacrificial performances, give charity, and study the Vedic literature. The best of the twice born, namely the Brahmanas, are specifically empowered to lead sacrificial performances on behalf of all members of society, teach everyone Vedic knowledge, and receive everyone's charity. Without the assistance or participation of qualified Brahmanas, the lower classes cannot properly study the Vedic literature, perform sacrifices, or give in charity because they do not have the required intelligence to perfectly execute such functions. When Kshatriyas and Vaishyas take shelter of bona fide Brahmanas, they are able to properly execute their respective duties and society function smoothly and efficiently. A pure duty of the Lord should always remember that the Supreme Personality of Godhead will personally take care of him, as the Lord states in Bhagavad Gita 9.20. Ananya Chaitayanta Mam E Jana Paryupasate Tesham Nitya Viyuktana Yoga Kshemam Vahami Aham. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on me, on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. A Brahmana should not become a professional beggar for his personal maintenance. In India, there are many so-called Brahmanas who sit at the gates of important temples and beg from everyone who comes and goes. If someone does not give a donation, they become angry and chase that person. Similarly, in America, there are many preachers who collect huge amounts of money by begging on television and radio. If a Brahmana or Vaishnava consider that being a professional beggar is weakening his austerity, destroying his spiritual influence, and giving him a bad reputation, then he should give up that process. One may beg everyone to contribute to the cause of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but one will be diminished and in austerity, influence, and reputation by begging for one's personal livelihood. A Brahmana may then take up the task of teaching Vedic knowledge and performing sacrifice. But even such occupation do not bring one to the highest platform of trust in God. A Brahmana who teaches as a means of livelihood may often be curbed in his teaching, and one who performs sacrifice may be manipulated by materialistic worshippers. In this way, a Brahmana may be placed in an embarrassing and compromised position. Therefore, a high-class Brahmana or Vaishnava ultimately will depend completely on the mercy of the Lord for his maintenance. The Lord promises to maintain his devotee, and an advanced Vaishnava never doubts the words words of the Lord. Now prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Sthapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Sri Guru Sri Tapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण dandat pranam. Now today we try to understand Srimad Bhagwatam canto 11 chapter 17 description of the varnashram system from shloka number 33 3 to 41. Only one important point in this shlokas that they are described about the duties of the brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas and shudras, and to whom they marry and how they marry, and one important is to take the shelter of the supreme Lord. It's most important. Hare Krishna dandat pranam. Prabhuji will tell you in detail. Hare Krishna. Mancha kalpaturvecha kripa sindhubheva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji. So this is a very important chapter which we are discussing, and many important aspects are being covered in this particular chapter. So right from the Varnashrama system to the current location where we have reached on Grihasthashramas and how life has to be lived. So basically, the study of this chapter will enable us to understand how to live life and how through each of the stages of the life and through each of the Varna, we finally are successfully able to achieve Krishna. Because finally, that is what we are supposed to be doing. Otherwise, this whole existence, this whole benefit, Bahunam Janmanamante, that we have got of understanding Krishna becomes useless. We'll just summarize a few aspects of this particular chapter before we go ahead and discuss tomorrow in detail and after tomorrow in detail. So what I want to highlight is ki, let us take to these studies very seriously. Let us see what these Vedas are talking about and make it a part of our daily lifestyle. Thank you very much. We'll discuss further tomorrow because it's already 8:28 now. So we'll start our chanting session.